Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about Mr. Beast and aid and charity and the difference between the two. And we're going to talk about some of the statements that have been made about what he's been doing and kind of put him into focus, because some of the people who have been talking about this, they haven't done a great job of explaining their position, and it has led a lot of people to be pushed away. And it's also led to a lot of confusion. So I've got this message. I'm going to read it. We're going to go through everything afterward. Okay. Bo, I was talking to a friend about the criticism Mr. Beast is receiving for his charity work, and they said they didn't like what he was doing. They're a fan of yours, and I brought up the tens of thousands of dollars of charity you've done for women's shelters and asked if they had the same problem with you. They said no, because what you do is aid, not charity. What the heck does that even mean? Then they said you don't profit from the people you're helping. My brother, please explain to me how paying to help people see is profiting from them. I don't like capitalism and would consider myself left until I'm around people who call themselves leftists. Do they not want him to help people see? What the heck is wrong with what he does? I know you're going to talk about purity testing and diversity of tactics, but I genuinely want to understand the criticism. So can you please just explain the logic? I guess I need to read some theory, but no to all that noise. I don't care about any theory that tells me to oppose helping people. It's wrong. Break down these objections into crayons for me. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's confused. Okay. So if you don't know what's going on, Mr. Beast, an incredibly popular YouTuber, has put out videos where they're engaging in objectively good things. They're helping people. And criticism has come out. The criticism is framed from a left point of view, but they're not always clear as to what the end goal is. I want to be very clear on one thing. Unless you're like nitpicking and going and finding like the absolute wildest statements you can, nobody on the left is actually like upset or wants him to not do what he's doing. It's not that they think that him helping people is bad. It's a yes and thing. They're trying to make it better, not stop it. They're just not always good at explaining that. Now, I'm going to go through the critiques and criticisms that I've seen. I'm sure there are others out there. You are talking about, you're talking about the left. If you want 5 opinions, put 3 leftists in a room and ask them to give you 1 opinion. But I'll go through the ones that I know. And the first part here that kind of caught my eye, what you do is aid, not charity. Okay, talking about me. We do both on this channel. We do both. There's a difference between charity and aid, and this is going to become important later because that's a big piece of one of the critiques. Charity, and we're going to grossly oversimplify all of this. Charity is short term. You are relieving the symptoms of an issue. Okay? Aid is more addressing root causes and providing the ability to affect self-help. Those people in that situation can help themselves with what you're providing. For the mutual assistance gurus out there, yes, I know, gross oversimplification, but not actually the point right now. The key thing here, charity, give a person a fish. Aid, teach a person to fish. That's a good way to look at it. We do both. We do both. Some of what we do with the shelters, which, by the way, are not just women's shelters, are Some of what we do is charity. Some of what we do is aid. Some of what we do is a really weird gray area that some people consider aid, some people consider charity. And this goes to the profiting from them thing. People aren't talking about him profiting in the sense that I think the way it's being received by people who are hearing this. When we do the stuff for the shelters, what do y'all see? On your end, what do you see? You see the supplies, right? You see the stuff that we're providing. If it's around the holidays, you see the gifts for the kids. You see shelter employees or organizers, right? Who do you not see? The people being helped. Now, with the shelters, there's a security reason for that as well. But generally speaking, it doesn't matter what we're doing. It's very rare that you actually see the people that we're helping. And never in the context of, look at this person that needed help. That's just not how we do it on this channel. There are people who view the way Beast does his videos in that light. And they view it as though because he's showing their image like that, he's profiting from them. The counter argument to that is going to be that if, he was like, hey, we're going to cover all the medical expenses to let you see again, we're going to film it, that's going to generate revenue, which we're going to use for the next cool, nice thing that we're going to do for somebody, that the people would say yes. And that's where the confusion comes in. The critique is that that's not how it should be done. And the reason it's so poorly received by the people who hear this is because they view it through that lens of it being very transactional. Okay? And then I think another thing that you see a lot of people want addressed, and this is a big one, is every heartwarming thing that he does. Again, nobody is denying that what he's doing is good, okay? That's not a complaint from any reasonable person that I've seen. But every heartwarming thing that he does, every good thing that he does, is a symptom of a systemic failure. And a lot of people want him to take that huge platform that he has and say, this is what we did, and we had to do this because of this. I get it. It makes sense. I mean, that's not his channel, though. That's not what he does. He is not, I don't look at him and think, hardened activist. I don't look at him and think, this is somebody like steeped in political theory. To me, he's always struck me as kind of a goofy YouTuber who's trying to do some good. I would suggest that that's a channel for somebody. That is a whole channel that could exist, is taking not just his stuff, but every one of those heartwarming stories that you see on the news. The story about the kids who had the lemonade stand to help their teacher who got cancer. Yeah, that's a heartwarming story. It's also a total indictment of our healthcare system. That could be a channel for somebody. Somebody could take that upon themselves to do that. But that is one of the other critiques. They think that while he's doing this, maybe he should mention why it has to be done. Why countries that are rich in resources have so much poverty. And that's part of it. You have some people that are upset because he has a very capitalistic business model. I mean, that's kind of undeniable. He does. But I would point out that I don't know that Beast has ever come out and been like, hey, I'm a lefty. It's like being upset that Bill Gates is using a capitalist model. We exist in a capitalist system. That's how he's trying to do it. That's one that I I don't know that that one really makes a whole lot of sense to me, but I've seen it. I understand what the argument is. I'm just kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, it is what it is in the current system. The idea that it's just for a tax break, okay? There's two things when it comes to that. First, I don't know that a lot of people understand how that works at that level. I mean, understand if Beast owes $1 million in taxes and he gives $1 million to a charity, he still owes like 900 grand in taxes. It's not a 1-for-1 ratio. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Aside from that, it always reminds me, when I hear statements like this, it reminds me of this story that I was told in a restaurant. And it's basically this guy. He says he wants to build an orphanage. And he's telling his religious leader that. And the religious leader's like, great, yes, awesome, do that. Come see me on Tuesday or whatever. And the guy comes back a couple days later and he's like, I was thinking about it and I have the wrong motivation. The only reason I wanted to build that orphanage was because I wanted people to think that I was a great man and I would be remembered as a great man after I'm gone. And the religious leader's like, wait, you're not going to do it now? And he's like, no, that's the wrong motivation. And the religious leader asks, do you think the orphans care? If somebody is doing something that is objectively good, even if they're doing it for the wrong reasons, I tend to just kind of shrug. So a lot of it to me kind of goes to that. But then we have the one criticism that to me is super valid. It's and again, it's not really a criticism, it's a yes and moment. The people I have seen who have been making this particular critique, they like what he's doing and want him to do better. And that is, they want him to stop doing just charity and do aid. Because of the amount of cash, the amount of resources that he has, the ability, he can actually really help address some root causes. He can assist in big ways, and they'd like to see that change. And again, getting back to that, rather than talk about the shelters or the hotlines or any of the other stuff that we do, think about the disaster relief stuff. When we're doing that, yeah, there's food, there's water in the truck beds, okay? But what's really there that matters? What do we focus on? Generators, chainsaws, hand tools, tarps, roofing nails, the stuff people need to affect self-help, to get back on their feet themselves. He has the ability to do that on a massive scale. And I think people would like to see that. It goes to that interview. Person in Africa talking, and the people that send us bread and food, that's great, but we need tractors. We need pesticide. The ability to address the problem themselves. There are a lot of people who look at what he does and look at the amount of money involved and realize that it could be shifted to something longer, to something that is more impactful. Now, the issue that he would run into is that his model, the way the revenue comes in, is based on those videos. And those videos require something dramatic, The infrastructure, providing aid like that, It's not dramatic. Nobody wants to watch a video about somebody going in to a bank and setting up an endowment. You know, that doesn't grab attention. So even if he was doing that, this other stuff, it wouldn't change. Even if he decided to focus more on providing real aid to provide long-term change in these areas. And most people who are adamant about this, they are particularly talking about the stuff that he does outside of rich countries, because there, those dollars go a long way and he can make a huge impact. But nobody wants to watch somebody filling out bank forms. That is not captivating YouTube. So he would still end up doing the same stuff that he's doing now to get the revenue. And so it would be like, instead of 1,000 people in this video, he would do like 100, but then set up an endowment. So over the next 10 years, 5,000 get done. And it creates a longer period of change. And I think that that's the one critique that really holds water. But again, I don't look at him and think hardened activist. I have no idea if he has ever sat down with somebody and had a conversation like that. I think that before people really go to criticize to the level that some of them did, maybe just reach out. I don't think the guy is opposed to learning. To me, my read on it is that he actually does want to do good. That's why I don't want to step all over what he does. At the end of this, you have critiques that are really focused on wanting what he's doing to be better. They don't want him to stop. They don't want people not to be able to see, or kids not to have shoes, or any of the other stuff. They want it done better. Why all of it flared up at one time, I don't know. I don't know. But just remember, people on the left aren't always good at expressing why they feel a certain way. Don't let that push you away from the left. And there's always going to be conflicting opinions, and there's always going to be that argumentation. It's part of it. No reasonable person on the left is opposed to him helping 1,000 people see. Okay, that's not really a thing. It's they want the systemic issues addressed. They want root cause aid. It's all ideologically motivated stuff, and they don't always do a good job of explaining that ideology to people. And then at times, there are moments where they look at something and they're like, well, that's capitalism. Well, I mean, yeah, we're in a capitalist system. That's how he's doing it. And again, to my knowledge, he's never indicated that he's a leftist. So him using a capitalist model shouldn't really be surprising. I think the reason it's surprising is because a lot of what he does seems to be in line with what the left wants. But I have no idea if that's really his position. So as far as the arguments and the critiques that you're seeing, those are the ones that I'm aware of. Again, I'm sure there's more, but those are the ones that I'm aware of. They are based in ideology, and they're based in wanting it to be better, not wanting it to stop. The left does not want people to stop helping people. That's not what it is. So if you have these criticisms, particularly the one about aid, about switching from charity to aid, I think that he would be pretty open to it. I would reach out to him or to his staff, because I don't see him as somebody who is just doing this for money, who is just doing this for a tax write-off. I'm seeing it more as somebody who was given a massive platform and is trying to do the best that they can, but may not have all of the information they need to do it in the best possible way. But, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.